So, let me ask you a question. Oh, hold on. Can't ask it now. Okay. So, let me ask you something. Take two. Have you ever felt yourself in the space of having to just surrender and trust God in the season, situation, whatever it was in your life, and it was so uncertain that you had no choice or you just had to surrender and trust God? We're going to unpack that today because we're going to learn some new things about how to trust God in the uncertain seasons. And I promise, cousins, it's going to be great. Hello, welcome, cousins. I've missed you. I took a week off, but I took a week off because this topic has to happen. It's needed. And yeah, welcome back to A Legendary Mess. I'm Rayne Martine. I missed you, cousins. I'm happy to be back. I'm trying not to take too many breaks off, but this is a very good topic, I promise. It's well worth it, and I'm excited to get into it. First and foremost, y'all know the rules. We give ourselves grace just like God gives us grace, and we cut others grace. Because if we don't, well, we would just be hypocrites now, wouldn't we? I mean, let's be honest. But not only that, we will also have to give others grace isn't selfish. It's actually really the most beautiful and most logical things you can do because we don't know the other person's conditions. I had a song in my head. It was "People" by Jonathan McReynolds. I gotta stop because he be triggering certain frequencies in my brain. But we'll get into that later. A whole nother topic. But this topic is definitely going to be a part two. There's gonna be two parts. I just want to warn y'all. So yeah, this is part one, and then part two will be obviously followed up after probably that next week, or maybe the same night. You might get a two. You might get a two for one. I don't know yet, but like, comment, share, subscribe, follow. Y'all know where to find me on Instagram. I'm Rayne Martine, or A Legendary Mess on IG. You can find me on YouTube, A Legendary Mess. You can find me on Spotify, A Legendary Mess. You can find me on TikTok as my name, Rayne Martine. And y'all know I don't like Facebook, but you can find me on there too. Rayne M. Not giving you a last name. I don't deserve that yet. I'm joking. I'm just protective of my last name. That's all. I've, I, it's no biggie, but you know. Anywho, guys, I miss you guys, cousins. Make sure y'all are cutting yourselves grace and prayed up for real because there's been a lot of crazy stuff happening. And I just want to say I love each and every one of y'all who subscribe, who listen in, who watch, who give me feedback, who talk in the comments, all of that. I appreciate you, every last one of y'all, and the ones who send me text messages too. Tribe, I love you. I just need you to know that. Tribe, I love you dearly. And yes, so the question we will start with right after this messy confessions. And let me tell you, it's messy. Not bad messy, but messy enough for me to have to sit down and realize like there was a lot of stuff going on. So this past week, I had to learn. So if y'all know, I'm very locked in with God. There's something about mine and his relationship that I love genuinely. Me and that man go together real bad, like this. But I got convicted in the middle of my workout last week. I can't say what I was convicted on, But let's just make this very clear. I got convicted in the middle of my workout. Um, but it brought me to this space where it was something that was said between my trainer and I. And I went back home, and what we had kind of spoke on echoed. It's very funny. It echoed into when I got home and me and my mom were talking, and we were out. And let me just say, got convicted real fast. And it was beautiful, but I also had to just kind of sit with it for a little bit before it led into today's topic, the two-part topic. So this is part one, obviously, like I said before. Um, I had gotten convicted in mid workout. It was something that happened. Well, I'm not going to obviously discuss what I spoke with my trainer and what the inside jokes were, but we were joking about something. I got convicted when I was doing cardio because here's a very fun fact. I pray nobody uses it against me because people be odd. In Jesus' name, please protect me and others. But have been teaching my, I have been learning to pace my breathing because I am a very severe asthmatic. And I mean, my asthma is really bad. Like I have medication for it. I grew up that way with having to often take a lot of meds. Often, I shouldn't have did that. I'm just scratching my face. It's a spiritual breakout. I had to kind of retrain my lungs in a certain sense, and for a person who has really severe asthma, it can get very hard. So I did this after training. I was trying to train my lungs. It actually has been very successful, and I'm so thankful. Thank you, God, because you have been more than good. You're very merciful, first and foremost, Father. He had me pacing, and I was doing well. And my mom has been going through her season of health issues. So we had a very special doctor's appointment Friday, and something that my trainer and I had kind of like briefly spoke about. I'm not gonna disclose that here, but we had kind of briefly spoke about. It was very like it was just something that I wasn't expecting to echo and be convicted even further than what I had already been convicted on. And during one of these doctor's appointments, um, well, it was en route going to the appointment. There was a guy who my mom and I had encountered, and he, it was just it was a tender but sweet, but it was what I was being convicted about that now led me into where I'm at now. But my mom, who is one of the most genuine souls on the planet, and I love her to death. I know y'all know this. Me and her always had our ups and downs, but that really is the whole. Like my mom is one of the very things that anchor me, and she does play a part in this and all of what's going to be talked about today. Um, I I struggle with my softness. Well, not anymore, but I was struggling with it for a very long time. And my mom is one of the most softest, most elegant, eloquent women on the planet. There's a lot of days that I strive to kind of match what she brings to the table, but I struggle. So the guy we encountered, he was short on cash, and my mom already was like kind of tight on her own cash. I was tight on my own cash, but I also don't carry cash, actual like physical cash, with me anywhere anymore. You will catch me at an ATM before you see me with physical cash. Um, we were. He was like, I don't have it, and he was saying this to the medical driver. And he was just like, I don't have I don't have, I gotta find it. And my mom, with the quickness and elegance of who she is and the essence of who she is, she just whipped it out, the last little bit of money that she had. And she said, don't worry, I cover it. She said, sometimes you have to pay for it because you never know when you find yourself in these situations, and you have to have grace, and you have to have a certain level of grace to just pay it forward without thinking. And I was like, dang, she's good. Because I would have waited a little longer and then had it, but it blessed me. It convicted me first, but then it blessed my life because right after I ended up helping a few other people, like without the quickness, and that was I'm gonna just leave it as that was an act of God. So my messy confessions was I got convicted because of something me and my trainer said in mid workout in a session, and God convicted me on it, and then He caught me again, convicted me in real timing, and it led to me where I'm at now. So the question is, have you ever found yourself in a season where you had no choice but to surrender and or to just trust God blindly, right? So I'm going to be very honest and open. April is a very hard month for me. And eventually these topics will be touched. It will not be touched today. I'm going to touch it slightly. Just quick. April is a very hard month for me. April is actually one of the hardest months because I lost my dad at the beginning of April 3 years ago. So it's a hard month, but it's also one of the most beautiful months because at the end of April, my son was born, and he'll be 15, and I love him. And it's beautiful because recently my son and I had sat down and had a conversation, and he his calmness, his presence made me think of my dad so much. This is actually the day before the anniversary of my dad's passing. So it kind of low key brought me to tears, right? This is after he left out. I ain't crying in front of him. But it was after. Are you okay, doggy? I'm sorry, oh, my dog is next to me. He has codependency issues. I love him though. You know, we love on him. I'm so, oh, but I love you. Don't do me like that. He's over my antics, guys. He wants to take a nap. That's what he wants to do. He wants me to lay down so he can curl up under me. That's why he's feeling the way. He wants me to lay down and curl up under him so he can curl up under me, really, and just get all the good love. That's all. He's been waiting all morning for this. Um, he's gonna get it because that's what I call our movie time. Yes, I am that. I'm that dog parent. You're gonna get it. I promise. Anywho, um, so after that, I had this realization: like my son and my dad are in one and the same. The calmness, the presence, and it was just such a beautiful thing because I was already kind of like struggling with anticipation and a little bit of anxiety on how my emotions would be the following day. The following day, God granted me the most beautiful thing of peace that really did surpass all understanding. So that's one reason why April is kind of tough for me. The second reason why April is very tough for me is because last year I went through a stillbirth. I gave birth to a beautiful, beautiful baby girl. Her name is Aviana. I did not name her. Her older sister named her, full name and everything. Her name is Aviana. It it will always do something to me. That beautiful little girl. I never got to see her eyes open. So I struggle super heavy because that's 2 days after my dad's passing. I gave birth to a stillborn baby girl who was the most beautiful, I mean, truly beautiful. And I struggle. It's only been a year since, and I struggle with that. And I'm honest enough to admit that. So here's why this is super important for me to just touch on this topic because I know there's somebody or people, a group of people, whoever, who are probably in a space where they're struggling themselves, and maybe I could be the voice of help or something that might click, anything. Not in a bad way, in a good way, first and foremost. So the stillbirth thing with my daughter happened a year ago. And on the 1 year anniversary, well, the day before the 1 year, I was at church. They did a gender reveal. all of my really good girlfriends. I truly appreciate y'all, Christina, and Amy. Well, Amy wasn't there, but I kind of, she was briefed obviously, and she just was like, "Hey, how are you?" Christina was physically there. She was like, "You good? You need a break?" I was good. My kids asked me if I was okay. I was. I felt something stirring, but it wasn't animosity. It was just like, it's okay. You're allowed to be sad, and it's okay to be sad. So I took a moment to just breathe. But overall, I'm very, very excited for Kia and her husband. I truly am. So this also led to how I'm about to just kind of spill my own tea. Just like I said, I struggle with my softness. I have always been in survival and soldier mode. And this week, I broke, and I'm happy that I broke. It sounds crazy, but I'm happy I broke. I have been in soldier mode since I was probably 9 or 10, maybe earlier than that, but recognizably for me, 9 or 10, because my mom was sick. My late mother, God rest her soul, was sick with cancer. We don't have a choice but to kind of like, but again, that will be another topic for another day. My late mother was sick with cancer, breast cancer, and that's hard as a 9-year-old seeing your parent like that, and there's nothing you can do. But that's also the very reason that I got into medical. Um, she died on my 10th birthday, and I went from family to very quick and very within, I mean, like overnight. I went from, all right, we're good, we have our family dynamic, and we're gonna be okay, to I'm an orphan. True story. I'm spilling my tea, and I'm gonna be honest. I went from this is my family, we're gonna be fine, we're always gonna be together, to I was an orphan and separated from them. And it did something to me. It really activated the soldier survival mode in me, where I didn't have a chance to really grieve. And I struggled with that. I finally grieved my mother at 30 years old. I'm 35, going on 36. I literally didn't grieve until I was in therapy. Grief therapy, to be exact, not for Aviana, but I did miscarry a set of twins in 2020. Twin to twin transfusion syndrome. They actually died a day apart from each other, and I still struggle with that, but not as heavy as I'm struggling with with the stillbirth, but I still struggle. And I found myself this week with an extreme break. I'm so grateful that it happened. I'm gonna list those reasons why. But the soldier in me has never laid her armor down. And if you are a person who understands faith and understands God, when you are in survival mode for a very long time, you don't know how to take that off. You don't know how to let that go. You will protect the softest spaces of yourself, because you feel like people will look at you funny, or they'll use it against you. And that was me. My softness growing up was always used against me. Like I wasn't tough enough, I wasn't this. So it again, like I'm gonna be honest, it probably was before my mom's passing that the soldier mood was very much activated in me. And she just wasn't willing to let go. She was just gonna keep protecting. This week, I learned with my very beautiful person that Star, of course, y'all know who I'm talking about, Star. You got it, sis. I've learned, well, not this week, but last week, but I had learned that I'm in this space of unveiling to reveal. What that means is God is shedding certain layers of trauma and healing the aspects that I protected so heavily, to unveil me as his daughter, not the soldier. And how this happened was all week there was just things happening. Um, I would take timeouts, but the timeouts just seemed like assignments. Like, I'm taking this time out, but here's an assignment that I need to get done. And Friday night, there was a very distinct stirring in my spirit that didn't sit right with me. I couldn't really sleep neither. So that was one. It didn't matter how much I prayed, I couldn't sleep. And I was abruptly woken up by a phone call at 7 a.m. on the dot Saturday morning. Saturday, it was pouring rain all day here in New York. And abruptly woken up. I had just finally went to sleep. And it's also spring break for my kids. So I was looking forward to sleeping in on a Saturday. Did not happen. So when I got up, I was just like, dang, it's assignment. My brain went into it's assignment after assignment after assignment. All that's it. I don't have a break. I can't sit. I can't rest. I can't do this. I can't. And the next thing I knew, I wasn't having a tantrum with God. I asked God, I said, I feel like I'm just a soldier. When am I ever your child? I need a hug. And the fact that I said that broke a very distinct part of me where I felt unseen. I felt how I feel here in the physical world. Like, all I'm good for is strength. Puppy, 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 not on the blinkies. Not on the blinkies. Um, that's all I kept feeling like. I was like, dang, it's never, I can't never get a break. I just want to sit. I want to rest. I want to just not have to be a soldier. That's exactly what I was struggling with. And even in my physical day-to-day life, puppy, puppy. You need a minute? I'm sorry, y'all. Um, Even in my everyday physical life, it's never ending. I'm always up and moving. I don't really sleep, but when I do sleep, it's like a cat nap to me. Um, I'm always on the move. I'm always here, there, everywhere. Somebody needs me. Somebody got their hand out. It's always something. And I was struggling Saturday where I had to finally just cry. And I'm not a big crier. That's something I'm not. And I'm not a big crier. It's just did, but now I probably am. For a very long time, I wasn't a person who cried unless you provoked me to. Like, it had to be a death. Um, or had to really hit for me to be like, that hurt my feelings or something like that. And Saturday, nope. I found myself, I was like, God, I just feel like all I am is a soldier. That's it. That's all my life is based off of. Like, and I went down the evidence of it and I just broke. I didn't have, I felt myself losing every ounce of capacity to hold the soldier in me up. And this was an all day thing. I cried all day. I was out doing my errands and stuff in the rain with tears like legitimately falling down my face. And I just couldn't. And the reason why I'm going to say how and trust, when you find yourself in this season, what I'm going to follow up and say is I literally, even in that space where I was just so heartbroken because I just felt like I was only just a soldier. I didn't feel like I was his daughter. I felt far, even though I talk to this man every day and he talks to me every day. I was starting to feel even further like I'm losing, like I already lost my earthly dad. Now I'm losing, now I'm losing God. Like, something has to give. And I sat in this house bawling and crying. I'm out doing errands, bawling and crying. God was just so he was listening, but he divinely orchestrated this to a manner where he knew I would have to break. He sent familiar voices. He sent my mom, who kept sending me and saying, God is blooming something in you. Don't, just, if you have to cry, cry. If you want me to pray over you, I'll do it. Um, my lovely two girls, Christina and Amy, I love you both dearly because you guys don't even know how big of a role y'all played in it. Christina and Amy both hit me up simultaneously. I ain't hear from you in a few days. What's up? What's going on? because that's how we talk. If we don't hear from each other in a few days, yeah, somebody's going to come a ringing. And I really appreciate that. I'm not used to having friends like that. And she, each one of them is just like, yo, what's up? Like, what's going on? All my other homies, and I'm not convicting you, and I'm not condemning you. They were not worried about anything mentally, you know, not Trevor, not you. You don't count. But all my other friends, they were like worried about, oh, what we gonna do next time we link up, or you got money to do this, or yo, can I borrow some money? And I often feel like this is something that I struggle with as soldier me. Excuse me, sir. Okay, sorry, y'all. Soldier me struggles with being seen, being loved, being told I'm okay, things like that. And that moment, God distinctly sent those three people. And I was still very much distraught. I couldn't really sit and tell them why I was distraught because at that point I was like, I'm not going to tell y'all until God moves me to. I sat in and out of my house the entire day crying. I mean, brawling. And even in that space where I was like, if all I am is just a soldier to you, God, fine. I will willingly accept that and just keep moving, but I'm not leaving. Whatever you tell me, I'm still gonna obey. That's the level of trust that I have with God. If he only saw me as a soldier, I would still show up. Truly, wholeheartedly, honestly, I will still show up. And that's all I kept saying. I was like, I'm not leaving because I don't like the world and the world don't like me. And I'm set apart. I already know this, but I ain't leaving. Like if I'm just a soldier, fine, I'll be a soldier. But I miss being your child. I want to go back to being just strictly your child. And yes, there's nobody at the door. I promise there's nobody. I know you want to go outside and run amok. You're not going outside to run amok. Put your head down. Because we ain't doing all that. We're not. It's okay. Sorry, y'all. He's going to do some things. He wants to go outside and run amok. He's not running outside to go run amok because he'll try to run away. And then he'll be upset because he has a tracker in his butt and he will get caught. Anywho, um, yeah, I I broke to the sense of like I miss being your child. God, please, just whatever it is that you tell me, let me go back to being your child because I can't keep being a soldier. Even though if that's all I will have to be, then I'll do it. I'll wipe these tears and I'll still do it. It was 2 a.m. Sunday morning, 2 a.m., and I was still brawling and crying. I heard God very distinctly say, just give me the keys. I was laying down, I got up, I said, did you say give me the keys? Like, I had an ugly cry, I had the snot filling my face. I'm like, did you just say give me the keys? And I'm still distraught, 2 a.m. in the morning, literally crying from 7 a.m. to 2 a.m. Is that's all I did. And I heard him distinctly say the second time, I didn't even need a third. He just said it very sternly and very calmly, as a whisper, just give me the keys. I said, you can have the vehicle. I don't even want to do this no more. I'm tired. And at that moment, I had to surrender. I surrendered the soldier half of me just to go back to being his daughter and his child because the soldier half of me needed to put her sword and her armor down and take a breather because the daughter in me was like, girl, where's dad at? That's what it was. And I took that gracefully. Ugly, but gracefully. And when I finally just was like, you can have the keys, you can have whatever it is that you want, but please put me back as your child in your arms, on your lap, like a baby. And God did just exactly that. And it was so funny because later on I go to church. Me and my kids were actually seated in the very, very front row. And Pastor Lisa, shout out to you, the two blondes that are just out here stealing beauty, because I absolutely adore you, and you told me that. Um, she shouted us out. She was like, "Look at me and her beautiful tribe." And in that moment, I didn't feel like I needed to shrink. The soldier in me had really laid herself down, and the daughter in me was just like, oh, okay. But I laughed. I took it very graciously. And then around 7 p.m., Christina texts me and she goes, "Hey, I'm so sorry if I robbed you of anything." And I said, "Huh?" She's like, "I was led to pray for you, but I was disobedient." And I said, "Huh?" Now I'm like, what do you mean? And she was like, "I don't know how to." She said, "I'm really nervous about saying this." And I said, "Well, just tell me. I have very sharp discernment." And she literally says, "God told me to tell you he sees you. You're not invisible, and he sees your heart. He sees you." And in that moment, I almost cried again. The biggest joyful tears, because that's when I finally had told her. I said, "Look, yesterday I was going through it. This is what was happening." And I gave her it. And she said, "That's definitely God. And I see you got it." And she's like, "I'm not going to be disobedient the next time you tell me to pray over you. I'm praying." I appreciate her honesty on why she felt so nervous, because she felt nervous because she didn't know how I was going to receive it. But me and her have came to this conclusion that God put us together because we balance each other out, but we're also sister in arms with Christ. With Amy, when Amy had asked, "Is there anything that she could do?" I just said, and I was very, very honest. I said, "When you see me at church tomorrow, or whenever we link up for our girl time, hug me so the broken pieces of me feel a little together." And her reaction when she was like, "Oh, wow," she was like, "Okay, you got it." And when we saw each other, she just held me. And that was all I needed at that point. I was like, "All right, God, you're moving." And as uncertain and as scary as it should have been, for me, it wasn't even about being scary. All I thought of was like, I need a break, but I can't articulate how to get that break. But I knew if I would have just called on Big Man, Waymaker was gonna make the way. And that was all I had. And it wasn't just blind faith, it was just me understanding all my life. I've been, and I'm honest about this, I'll stray a little from the walk, but I always come back. But this current time, when I came back in full totality, I wanted to shed everything. And it took the loss of my child, stillbirth, for me to shed. So I had to trust God in the most vulnerable season I'd ever had of my life to just guide me and move with me and baby step with me. And this literally started a year ago because I was so broken, and I'm honest about that. I was so broken behind that loss that I had to leave everything that felt super comfortable to me. My house, I learned that I had to learn different things. Like, I love my friends, and the ones who feel like I might be, yes, I have brookies. Mm, yes, it's my man's, my puppy man's. Um, I love everybody who has ever shown up during that time. I don't have any hard feelings. I'm not malicious like that. Um, but I also had to let some of them go because the way that God was navigating me, it wasn't that I had anything bad about them, but the way He was structuring my life from the point that I just was like, I don't have anything. Like, I need to, like, God, you're going to have to walk. You're going to have to direct me in this point. And I'll never forget having that moment where I broke and my daughter sat next to me, which I did briefly talk about. My oldest Azaria sat next to me. She said, "Thank you for being human. Thank you for allowing me to see you vulnerable in that state." Um, when I finally had just was like, I can't do it. And I know I'm incapable of doing it on my own. God, you have to walk me through this. You have to guide me through this. You have to instruct me through every last ounce of this. And He did. In the most vulnerable, certain time in my life, he walked, and I mean walked. Like if it was baby steps, it was a baby step. He walked with me all through, even still till now, to the point where Saturday I had to surrender the soldier in me, and the soldier in me is now currently laying and resting. But the daughter in me that I protected for so long, the very things that really are the essence of me, that softness, that the little girl that still likes to play in the rain. Yes, that's me. I'm 30. I'll be 36, and I still like to play in the rain. Mind your business, okay? Let me have it. Rain is cleansing, and my name is Rayne. It goes hand in hand. But the little girl in me who likes to still go play in the rain, or dance in the rain when it's raining, or dance in the grass on a sunny day or a late night, those aspects of me had to be protected, because going into foster care, I knew how fast I would be picked on or bullied about it from anyone. The foster parents, foster children, it's hard. So the soldier in me had to harden myself a lot. But once I let the armor fall, and I gave it up, and I surrendered, which is exactly what I did. Because when God said, just give me the keys, if I could have threw him at them, I would have. But I was like, you can have the vehicle. You could take the vessel. You could have whatever it is that you want. Just please put me back as your daughter, where I'm not a soldier anymore. That's he he moved, and he moved fast. I literally got up Sunday morning, and yesterday everything within me felt so different. And all it took was really me just crying out, having this honest space with God where I was like, I don't feel loved by you. I just feel like I'm a soldier. And he wasn't offended. He waited until the crying kind of dimmed down to just whisper to me, give me the keys. I got it from here. And he does. He really does. Like, I've never felt more comfortable in my body and in my skin as I do now. And here are some key takeaways that I've learned. When you get to that space where you feel so strongly like this is all you're good for, start praying, start talking to God. Cry, because people who are so strong like that, we do need to break. We have to. We can't keep continuing like that. And normally I would be like, I'm Superwoman. No, I'm not. I'm gonna be first to say, I am not Superwoman. I will, it's not me. It's a no. I'm not Superwoman. I used to hold that to a standard. And the reality is, I can't be God. I can have Christ like ways, but I can't be God. And even in that space where I felt the way that I felt, most people would have left. And I was like, God, I'm not leaving. I don't want to go back there, but I'm not leaving. If all I am is a soldier, fine, I will take that. But I'm not leaving. Like, you got me, we stuck together, we here. I'm not leaving. If I'm just a soldier, I'm just a soldier, but I'm staying. And when I finally broke and just was like, I just want to go back to being your child, because the soldier in me doesn't have it anymore. He moved, and he moved fast. It might have took me a while to get him to allow that space to open up for him to quickly move, because I was so distraught. And I'm gonna be honest, I was distraught. Like, I started taking it out on the kids, distraught. And I did apologize. Don't ever think I didn't. I did. I individually apologized to them and hugged them and loved on them, because at the end of the day, that wasn't on them. That was 100% me struggling to just let the armor go. But with the armor off now, I do feel a lot lighter. And I'm happy that he had to orchestrate it. Sometimes in that uncertainty, God is doing something so big and so miraculous, right? That all he needs is us to just surrender, or just say, please go forth and do whatever. But I need you to give me that permission. And for me, it wasn't just the permission part. It was more of, I needed to surrender. That's what he was waiting on. I had to surrender the honesty of how I felt. I had to surrender performance rather than presence. Hear me again, performance and presence. God needed my presence more than he needed my performance of being super obedient, super on point. Sometimes we on our walk forget that the presence of just us at his feet is really all he wants. And that was something that I had to sit with, because I was like, I probably was too busy in soldier mode, performing every mission, every task as perfectly as I could. And I didn't allow the human half of me to just be human. The humility was almost gone. So the takeaways are, be in his presence, please, because you won't be able to hear him if you're not in his presence. Be honest, surrender, break. It's okay. And whoever says it's not, please do not listen to them. I used to deem myself one of the strongest women ever. I'm still a child of God, and if I need him, I'm crying. Dad, come get me. Like the same way I would do it with my earthly father, God rest his soul. Dad, come get me. I don't like it here. It's the same way that I operate with God. You come get me. I don't like it here. I can't. I don't have it. Get honest. You feel like you're not anywhere. He's gonna let. That's your surrender alone. And if you have to fully just be like, I really don't have it. I don't have the. I don't know what else to do. I'm all out of options. I'm angry. I'm this. He's not offended. He is definitely going to swoop in and make it work and save you, not just today. He'll save you. Just don't focus on the storm. Because even in that space where I was so distraught, I didn't have, and I realize it now. Oh, okay, Holy Spirit, you got it. I realize it now. I did not focus on everything else. Like everything that was already physically happening around me. I didn't have enough time to focus on it. All I kept thinking of was, if I really am is all you if all I really am is just a soldier to you, I ain't leaving. I'm gonna still be a soldier. But I do need a break. And I need you to just allow me it. And he didn't allow me a break. He told me to put the whole armor down. And I'm very grateful for that. I am. It was very uncertain. I'm still in this space where it's not super uncertain. I'm kind of seeing like something's happening. He's gearing up to do something with me. And I'm going to accept it with all the grace and humility that I have, because the soldier in me would have been like, all right, what's the assignment? But the daughter in me is like, I'm excited what you about to do. Let's get into it. It's an adventure. And sometimes I know how hard that is, because you're scared that it'll be used against you. When I say give it to God, I really mean that. Talk to him, cry to him, be mad. And when it settles and you hear him, surrender. Don't even think twice. Because I only need to hear it twice. The soldier in me would have needed to hear it 3 times. But the child of God in me heard it twice and said, you could have the vehicle. Take it. I don't want it no more. That's where I was at. And I'm glad that it happened. Because the weight, the load, everything changed. I feel lighter. I don't react as fast. My softness is my superpower now. And I don't feel like I need to protect my vulnerability. It actually is the most beautiful space I've ever been in my life. And I pray that everybody gets to experience it, because you are a child of God first. And I needed to be in the garden, not the battlefield. And not for nothing, I'm going to piggyback a little bit off of what Jonathan McReynolds' Before You Climb Any Higher book spoke on. Is we be so busy looking at how to get higher, right? For me, it was, what's the next assignment that I need to execute? Parallels, just different forms. For me, I was on battlefield. For him, he was looking at a mountain. Um, I had to. My whole thing was, what's the next assignment? Let's execute it now. God, what do you need me to do? Rather than just sitting still and just being present and just letting Him pour into me, or me just be in His presence at His feet, laying it bare and being honest. There's a big difference. It feels heavier. I felt heavier. I always felt guarded. And the best thing that I will say is, Star always says it best. I never let people get that close. Now, the daughter in me, my softness can shift the room, which has been a shock, even for me. Because recently, even in one of my gym training sessions, it was so unique that it wasn't that I was performing or anything. I was just in myself. I was just me without the armor on. And it shifted the room. It was like whoever encountered me noticed and realized something was so different about me. And they couldn't pinpoint it. But for me, I was just like, man, I'm just a child of God. I just had to lay this armor down. I had to let it go. And for that, I will always be grateful, because I needed to let the armor go. And I'm glad I did. And of course, this is going to be a two-part, but for the first part, I want you guys to know, talk to God. Be mad, be sad, be depressed, but be honest. Um, Surrender. Because if you don't, you're still going to, nothing can get achieved. He can't work. He can't show you how amazing and worthy you are of just being his child. I'm still in this space where I'm, even the smallest things that he's doing is mind blowing. The bigger things might knock me out of the park. I don't know, but I'm happy that I'm in my softness now. I'm happy that I don't feel the weight of the world and the assignment. And I surrendered, but I had to get honest. I had to cry it out, and I had to do that by myself, because if I would have tagged or called somebody, it wouldn't. He wouldn't be able to work. I had to let him. As scary as that was, because I'm good for calling a person and being like, "Hey, I don't know what to do. I feel some type of way." I would have called Star, obviously, or I would have panicked and called Christina and been like on the phone crying. She probably would have drove over here to be like, "Girl, we got to get you together." One of them, Amy or Christina, they would have called and been like, "Girl, we got to get it together. Like, it's a turmoil." They would have had to bust out the oil to get me right. And I was like, I can't call them. I got to do it by myself. I got to have this conversation with God, as scary as it might have felt. I needed to. And I'm glad I did, because He really, 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 in the simplest and most loving ways, have shown out. And I feel so much better. The weight of the assignment does not bother me, because the soldier in me is taking a break. She's resting. And I am happy about that. Daughter me, she's having a field day. And y'all are going to see it more on camera. So surrender. Get honest with God. Talk to Him. Be in His presence. Lay it bare. Lay it bare in front of Him. Don't thug it out. Be honest about it. Be real about it. Thugging it out is just the soldier, the protective path. Don't thug it out. Be real. Be honest. Because if you're not, you'll never get to really experience the full weight of His love. So, with that being said, cousins, y'all know the rules. First and foremost, before I sign off, please, first and foremost, before I sign off, can we like, comment, share, subscribe? Tell me y'all stories. I would love to hear it. I really, really would. I do love hearing y'all stories when anything is shared. So please share. Comments, my DMs, whatever. I'll probably most likely answer. The soldier in me ain't trying to be, a little one track minded. I'll answer. you know, share your stories. Share it. Maybe I might, hit y'all on the topic or shout y'all out. But share it in the comments, DMs. Also, like, comment, share, subscribe. YouTube, Spotify. Yeah, YouTube, Spotify, TikTok. I know you want to go outside, but you are not running amok. I understand. Um, YouTube, Spotify, TikTok, Insta stands, and maybe Facebook. Keywords maybe. And yeah, you know where to find me. I'm Rayne Martine / a legendary mess on IG, a legendary mess on Spotify, a legendary mess on YouTube, and Rayne Martine on TikTok, Rayne M on Facebook. I'm there. And also, give yourselves grace because God gives us grace, and give others grace because the way that He cuts grace for us, we should be able to cut it for others. And cousins, I love you, but God loves you more. And I'm happy to say that's facts. So I'm signing off. Remember, comment, like, share, subscribe, share your stories. Hashtag a legendary mess. I'm Rayne Martine, and I'm signing off with my sad doggy. I'm signing off. I'll see you for part 2.